Hi, good night, everyone. Ayana here, TheConflictGuru868, and thank you for joining us tonight. It has been an exciting ride thus far, and tonight we have a very personable businesswoman joining us tonight, Miss Ruslene Thompson-Roberts, Operations Director of the Management Resource. I'm going to bring Ruslene in a bit. Just to introduce her, Ruslene is an HR specialist, and her areas of specialty compensation management, recruitment and selection, and expatriate management. She will tell us a bit more about HR, her background, how it has been operating in the industry, etc. So let Ruslene join us and let's get right into it. This is the Configured Woman in Business series. Hi, Ruslene. How are you?
Hi, Ayana. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. So I did a brief introduction of you. I did a little intro and stuff like that. I want you to take it away and do, more of an intro of yourself and let the audience get to know who you are, what you do, and how is it as a woman in business.
Sure, no problem. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Ruslene Thompson-Roberts. I am an HR specialist and the operations director for the management resource. I have been in the HR industry for more than a decade. It's been it's been a wild ride, I must say. There have been times where I was actually wondering, what am I doing? Do I know enough to even do this thing? But it has been great, honestly. And yeah, HR is just one of my passions, and I just like doing it. It's a great field to be in,
Serious?
to be quite honest.
Wow,
It is.
That's interesting.
I am generally not a people person by nature. However, for some reason, I just fell into HR, and it just works.
Works for you. Right. Yeah. Guys, Ruslene and I met, Ruslene, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to say no show ages. It's a few years back. We met at a training, HR training at Lovejack.
Yeah, we actually met a while now. We actually met at a class at Lovejack, and I saw you walking, and I was like, "Oh, she's cute! Look at my earrings. Those are some cute earrings." And I complimented you on your earrings, and then we just started a conversation from there. And that was it.
Yes. And if there's one thing I can say about you, like I was telling somebody there, you are the one person that competes me in the sense of my weird sense of humor. I actually see your sense of humor aligns with my own. So I'll be looking at your posts and your statuses and cracking up. He's like, oh my God, stolen. This is like so me, stolen. And I'm thinking, listen, we're both in HR, we both have this quirky sense of humor, and you literally have me rolling sometimes. Like on my personal social media, I think I reposted so many of your stuff because it's just so aligned with what I like. And as you talk about your HR and how you loved it and stuff like that, I'm not a people person. Again, I like you, I'm not really a people person. Because I sure when I walked into the class, my face was like dead serious. Like, okay, I just come here to do something and, whatever. And when it is, I think we were in the same group and you reached out to me and we started talking and stuff, and I was like, HR. And you can see that you genuinely love HR. And that was one thing I hated while studying, both undergrad and postgraduate. So to know that I ended up in an HR-related field,
it's like, how ironic. How did that happen?
Exactly.
Believe me, I get it.
Yes, So when you think of HR, you really think that you have to be that people person to really thrive and to be successful as a human resource practitioner. But that is not really the case. I mean, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or add to what I'm saying. What I think with HR, you need to understand the human relation side of it, how to relate to people, right? Understand that everyone is made up of different circumstances, different experiences, and stuff like that, and it will influence and color the way they approach certain situations. And so, what you agree? What do you want to add? What do you think about that?
I agree with you. I think to be in HR, you need to have some sort of sense of empathy, because not only is your job to translate, what the employer wants of the employee and vice versa, but you need to understand that there are certain human elements involved in that interaction, because looking at different personalities. So you as the HR person now, you have to act as a sort of buffer between these two parties. So you need to understand both sides. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
So even though, when I said, I'm not generally a people person, I can understand people. And that, I guess, that is what has made me like HR so much, because it's not so much the interaction, it's more about trying to understand who you're dealing with and put yourself in their shoes.
I agree.
Which is a gift in itself.
Yes, it is a gift. And not everyone is blessed with it, to be honest. It is a gift. So once we have that gift, it's something that we really should utilize and say, thank God we have this gift, and go out there and help people. Because there are persons out there, I mean, even look at it from the side of conflict. People will think, okay, conflict will more be between individuals, groups, teams, whatever. But what about those of us walking around with this internal conflict, right? And then we bring in this conflict to the workplace. And then that would influence our relationship, the way we communicate with people, right? And how we relate to our co-workers. That is something that an HR specialist should pay attention to as well, and should be able to acknowledge as well.
Correct. Agreed. And I think the downfall now is that there are HR professionals coming out now that are not understanding that is what you need to do. And you see people coming off very cold, to the employee. And then you have the employee saying things like, HR don't understand, I don't want to go to HR. But you need to have that. You need to remember it's human resources, and humans have a lot of emotional feelings, and you need to be in tune with that in order to be effective.
Yes. No one is going to be perfect, but we need to understand the genesis of it. And then when you look at how HR evolved, it came out of the Hawthorne study, the human relations, understanding how you're replacing man with mechanization, all these different things. How did it affect people's safety? You had people dying on the job, the conditions, employment conditions. So these things are really about improving person's job, not only functions, but the conditions in which they worked in. And that is how the whole idea of HR and how it pulled out of it. So human relations is really the genesis of HR. And I mean, maybe there's a pet peeve, and maybe I'm doing a little platform in here, but persons in HR, I think, and I think I can speak from my sense of, like a little old age person in the business, need to understand the human relation aspect of human resources and managing human resources. But we talk about HR, we get into the whole thing, how we met and stuff. Let's get back a bit, let's come a bit back and talk about the business, right? The management resource. So let's a bit about your business, what your business does, and areas of specialty.
Sure. So it's an HR consultancy. We do specialize in recruitment and manpower supply. We also specialize in expatriate management, business services, outsourcing services, and payroll. Now, I will stop a bit and explain the expatriate management part, because people seem to be like, ew, what is that, right? A lot of the time. So the expatriate management part, it's about managing non-national employees. So you deal with their local contracts while they're in Trinidad. anything that they need, you deal with it. That is my job in terms of that aspect of it. In terms of the business services as well, business services going in, assisting people with putting structure in their organization, especially small businesses, dealing with, any issues they may have, because you'd be surprised. A lot of small businesses, they start up, but as they're growing, you realize they don't have certain things in place. So that is where we come in and we assist them with that.
All right. So we're going to focus a bit more on these small businesses, because that is what our viewers are predominantly small business owners, other women in business looking to starting up their business. And let's touch on what you said previously regarding the structure and stuff. And it's true. A lot of small businesses get into business and they will ensure they have their invoicing templates, their maybe quotation templates, and stuff like that. But what about compensation? What about recruitment, one selection? What about training and development? It may not be a big investment, but it's something that is needed as well. The HR, the human resource components of your business, the policies and procedures, you find are often forgotten. And then looked on when they are growing or they have to take on an employee and stuff like that. Then they will look for employment contract. And a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people consulting nobody else, a small business owners. I can just go and download that, Google. You understand? Okay, Google. But what about the laws of the island? Are they governed by the laws of Trinidad and Tobago? Right? You mean we had to pay attention to all these different things. What about our leave and vacation laws? What about all these different things? You need to pay attention to that. So it's not about, okay, Google, you need to know these things. So do you help small business owners really put their policies and procedures into place and get their structure up as regards to human resources as well? That's what you're saying?
Yes, I do. I definitely do. I assist small businesses with putting their HR policies and procedures and structures in place. And it is a challenge. I'm just going to come out, because I know that question is going to come up at some point. So I'm just going to jump into it for you.
Yeah, you know, we have a little conflict on what you challenge, but go ahead, Ruslene, take over.
It is, because
it is.
The thing is, you go in there because the first thing is, it's good that they are able to identify that yes, we are growing and we do need to put some structure in place. However, when you get into it, you realize that they still have the mom and pop mentality. So even though you're going and you're trying to assist them in putting certain structure in place, they're asking, okay, so what about this and what about that? And do we have to give an hour lunch? And do we have to pay overtime? I don't want to pay overtime. Things like that, because they are under the impression that whoever is employed with them, because of the fact that they have a certain mentality, they need to also have that family-oriented mentality. So they expect their employees to work way beyond what is expected. And when they don't get that, they kick up a fuss, And sometimes I've been fought on contracts, simple things, doing up employment contracts. And I've had business owners fight me on some of the things I put in the contract.
They love to fight you on the leave as well.
Yeah, they do. They fight you down. They're like, oh, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to pay this. And sometimes you have to do things like show them the laws, like, listen, this is what the law is. Even in terms of compensation, well, let's not even go down that road. That is its own thing.
Yeah,
they pay too little or they pay too much.
Girl, what I can say is I do not miss the days. I am so happy that, the people are still doing it and fighting and passing battle. Someone just said, Ruslene is an excellent consultant. She's very knowledgeable on all matters related to HR. Go, Ruslene. Ruslene, that's very good. So, like you said, mom and pop, the family, and I mean, companies can have that. They can maintain that culture, develop that culture, nurture that culture. But what small business owners need to understand that they still need to have those policies and procedures in place regarding how they manage your resources. Because the human resource is a key aspect of any business. Without your human resources, what is going to happen? You can have clients, yes, but who are going to help you appease or provide the service or goods to these clients? You need the human resources, you need that assistance. So that is something that is, you know, so it's very important. So you spoke about the challenges and stuff like that. Let's talk about COVID, because COVID is a challenge in itself for us as business owners. How has COVID impacted your business?
Now, when everything started happening, I braced myself. Now, generally, I am not someone that thinks negatively, but I do like to observe what's happening in my environment so that I know how to make decisions. But surprisingly for me, for my business, things actually improved. I actually got more work because it seems as though a lot of SMEs realized that they were taking the time to put certain systems in place,
Which is good, which is very good.
correct, which is excellent. And of course, you had a lot of issues where people were being laid off or furloughed or all those different things. And of course, you have to assist them in dealing with that as well. Because whereas a large company like the Answers in the world, the Answers and the Massies, they have a whole team of people that could assist them with that. Smaller companies don't necessarily have a team. And you're going to be placed in a position where you realize that your revenue isn't as it was before. And you're left in the unfortunate position of having to let go people. So for things like that, that is where I came in. So thankfully for the management resource, business actually got better. But it put me in a position now to kind of have to really look at other businesses and try to examine what their needs were, and then deal with the fallout of some of the decisions that they would have had to make, which would have been very difficult. And although yes, you had the good moments where you were hiring people and you're putting together certain things or whatever, you did have the moments where you had people calling you, hey, I need to let go this employee because we're not bringing in the funds like we used to before, or this contract was suspended, so we can't pay this person. How do we send this person home legally? We strive to alleviate the pain of that retrenchment. So that by itself was, I wouldn't lie, that was difficult for me because it had me thinking, oh gosh, what is going to happen to these people? And because nobody knew how far this thing was going to go on for. And you notice now we're in October and we are still going through it.
Yes, please. Yes. Yeah. And we are still seeing the effects of it, especially with businesses and stuff. The layoffs and stuff is not stopping. Unemployment rate is increasing.
Yep.
But like you said, COVID had a positive impact. And my predictions are that we are going to see more and more persons getting into entrepreneurship and business ownership. People are, we are survivors. We're going to figure out a way how we can pivot and capitalize on challenges presented to us. And we're going to look for opportunities to do that. So, but going through that and helping companies with their challenges during COVID, despite it benefited your business at the end, what did going through and seeing how these companies had to be restructured and the decisions that they make. What did this teach you? What was like one thing that really jumped out at you in that process?
One thing that jumped out at me, and I think it goes back, it's a few things actually.
Okay, nice.
One of them goes back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of procedures, putting proper procedures and policies in place. Because a lot of people go about hiring, a lot of companies go about hiring, especially small businesses go about hiring, and they don't have proper procedures in place.
Yes.
So now when you find yourself in a position where you may have to do things like, you know, cut salaries or send people home, you don't know what to do. And there isn't anything in place to cover you and to cover your employee. So then you find yourself running around rushing, you know. So that is definitely something that I learned that day, you know, that people need to put policies in place. That is important. It's tedious, it's time consuming.
It is.
But it is something that has to be done.
Yeah.
Once you start hiring people or looking to hire people, you need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing is is diversification. People need to diversify. You need to diversify. Diversify your business. I cannot say that enough.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Even if you don't even if it is you have a particular service or product that you are offering and you're not going to get into another income stream or add another service to it, find another way of delivering your product.
Yes.
A lot of companies caught on very early, I realized.
With the larger entities, especially.
Yes. So you see now, all of a sudden, everybody online. You know? Everybody online now.
Life is so much more convenient now. You pick up your phone, you dial, you order, you curbside pickup. Actually, I am living a dream right now because I hate to leave my house. So I am so happy. I can use this app, dial. I need these groceries, order. I need to get this, order. Yes, and then there's so many local providers, handbags, your makeup, your eyelashes, your lipstick. I had to stress on the makeup. You go through that. Your clothes, the convenience. And that is what I said. See the opportunity, the challenges, pivot your business and capitalize on these opportunities.
Correct. Because now everybody delivering. How many delivery services do we have now? I didn't even count. I can't even count now. We didn't have that before.
I pick up and I still can't get over it.
Exactly. And this is the thing. Companies need to learn to diversify.
Yes.
That seems to be a very trendy word, diversify. But you need to do it. You need to put your procedures in place and you need to diversify. Those are the two things that really jumped out to me. Oh, and another thing, marketing. Marketing, I am not a marketing person. I have some really great marketing colleagues. You know, if anybody, I could just hit you all up. But marketing is important, especially in this downtime. Now is the time to market. A lot of small companies cut their marketing budget.
Yes.
During the downtime.
They have.
But that's not the thing. You need to, now is the time when you need to really market your business and put yourself out there because this is not going to last forever.
Exactly. And if I could just add, especially with the marketing, capitalize on the digital platform that is now available to us. We don't need to do the traditional ways of marketing anymore. We can think outside the box. COVID has allowed us to think outside the box. And that is what we need to do as business owners. And you were speaking, you're talking about this diversification, your policies and marketing. And I'm thinking Christmas is coming up soon. We're going to have the black cake makers, the pastel makers, right? Nobody's coming by your house anymore to collect a dozen pastel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you need to get out there from now. Anybody who's listening to us tonight and making pastel or black cake, I don't have no problem sampling, just hit them up. But you need to start marketing your product, utilizing these digital platforms that are available to us right now. And then on top of that, figure out a way how it is you're going to provide your product to your customers.
Yes.
Because as much as I want the pancha creme, I want the black cake, and I want the pastel, I don't want to leave my house ready to risk this whole thing to come to your house to pick it up. And I'm not leaving my house to come to meet you at some third location, whatever. So we need to bridge that gap and figure out how are my customers going to get my pastel, pancha creme, black cake when Christmas time comes? How am I going to keep my orders up? What am I going to do? So again, there are opportunities. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, and everything get listed. I too old to begin on these things. Check your kids, check your niece, your nephew, your grandkids. Somebody must know how to do it. My 10-year-old son can set you up on IG. Simple. Facebook. He's not allowed to have an account, but he knows how to set you up on it. So he will have his grandmother. WhatsApp.
Quite true. True.
Right? Avian is saying that I think that you ladies are on point. Diversification and marketing is the only way to make it through COVID-19. Thank you, Avian. Alana is saying marketing. Yep. Alana said, I like that. Pivot your business. Yes. Yes. And capitalizing on these things, what Ruslene said, is a way that we can pivot. Right? So I'm going to ask, how to put it, an obvious question. Because I want to really make the point and send it across. Is HR important in a small business?
Definitely. It is.
Take it away.
Because, listen, as I said before, HR is human resources. You are dealing with human beings.
Yes.
If you are working by yourself, by your lonesome, you in your office all alone with nobody, with your laptop and your phone, great, fine. And you don't need to think about HR.
Mm-hmm.
However, from the time you hire that first employee, you need to develop proper HR systems. It is vital because many people, let me tell you, the industrial court is filled with companies that didn't heed the advice of their HR professionals. You need to put that in place, and it's very easy now. Sure. When I saw, I guess you remember Labor Board. When Labor Board put out that ad, I think it was last year or something like that, with this whole thing with call the Labor Board if you need advice. I was like, whoo, Papa, real people getting in trouble now.
Real people going to get called. Real people, yep. Yes, they were very busy last year. They were quite busy.
Yep, so it is because you don't have the proper systems in place.
Nice. But what I wanted to add is that you said as soon as you take on that first employee, and a lot of us are small business owners, I myself did, our first hire will be a friend or a family member. And we may think, that's all right, whatever. But it's still, yes, you all may have an understanding. Yes, it may be your spouse, your partner, whatever. But still, it would not hurt to start getting things in place because eventually someone else may come on board. And they may not be your spouse, your partner, your family member, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or let's say your partner needs to grow a family-owned business, but still, people have rights, people have needs. There are certain conditions that they can be employed under. And you need to know your rights as well as an employer. Where do you stand as an employer as well? And these are things that you need to understand. So what is your role as an employer? What are their roles as an employee? What are your rights as an employer? And what are their rights as an employee? Mm-hmm. And these are key things we need to understand. And your policies and procedures will help you. And most importantly, again, I'll bring it back to conflict, grievance policies, grievance procedures. Right? There's a lot of kangaroo courts going on out here, right? And I mean, we will see The Apprentice, you're fired, and we want to do you're fired too, but it don't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
you're fired, right? Right? There are certain things that must be done to the person to be fired.
Correct. Yes. Yep. Yep. And I can tell you about some stories where, okay, so I'll just mention this, right? A well known AC provider in the East, Tunapuna Pasha area, right? Well known AC unit provider. They they have staff, they had some staff a few years ago. And one of the employees, she made a little error on something that they were doing. And the boss man, he basically assaulted her. I think he picked up a chair or something like that, and he pelted behind her and was like, "You fired, I don't want you here anymore," all these different things. And when she told me that, I was like, "What?" And the thing is, that is not unusual. That is not
No,
as
it isn't.
unusual as
No.
we would like to believe. That is actually very, very
Very common. Yes, it is. Trust, it is.
Dealing with mom and pop organizations.
No.
People start that business from young, or they come into their parents' organizations and they're working. And listen, that is very common.
Yes, it is.
And going back to what you were saying earlier about, you start off and you have one person working with you. I can tell you, when I was much younger, now starting out, right? I had someone working with me, a friend, and over time you realize that when we started off, it was like, she was helping me out, but as things progressed, as we started getting more work, more business, more people started entering the organization, I found myself in a position where I had these people and I had nothing in place, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. So I started off with a friend and ended up with a bunch of other staff. And, when the organization started undergoing certain changes a few years ago, like about 7-8 years ago, I found myself in a position where I wanted to put systems in place too late. And people were not having it because they were accustomed to dealing with things in a certain way. They were comfortable. They were very comfortable. They were like, "Oh, it's a family, and we're all a family, kumbaya." But so when it is, I tried to streamline certain things, I got a lot of pushback.
Yes, you would. You would, because they're inculcated into that way of anything goes. Yeah. And that is an issue. That is an issue that is going to happen. I have seen it happen personally. I mean, I grew up in a family-owned business as well, so I could state to it. Being a business owner in other areas and stuff like that is also another thing I noticed. And I mean, I'm talking from experience. You learn that you have to put these things into place. And we need to do it. The earlier, the better. It's simple. Even if you make it known verbally, it's still a step in the right direction. Rather than just leaving it undone, unsaid. Make it known. Make it known that this is what I want, have put in place, and then you can start documenting. Because once you state it up front, they can't say they never knew. You are telling them. And that is how we can basically start with the policies and procedures and eventually get to the point of documenting it. And that is one good thing that we can pay attention to. So we are about to wrap up this lively conversation. Your golden nugget of advice you will give to small business owners when setting up their HR systems.
Invest and hire a professional. Putting systems in place, putting policies and procedures in place is not something that you can Google. It doesn't work like that. You need to hire a professional to get you started. Invest the money. Yes, it's going to be expensive. I'm not going to lie to you. However, invest in that and put your systems in place. Make sure that you of yourself also understand what the HR professional is putting in place for you. So you need to do your research as well. If it means doing one of those short courses somewhere around with HR or some HR management, do it. Because if you don't, it can come back to bite you in the ass later down the road.
Yes, it can, and it will. It definitely will.
It will.
And I think you need to know what your policies and procedures are in order to implement it. You can't just hire someone to develop some sort of policy and procedure for you and just have it lying there. It makes no sense. Your staff need to be aware of what it is. You need to know what it entails in order to make sure it's being implemented in the correct way. So there is needs on your part to have some knowledge of what it is being developed for your company. It can't say, well, look, I have my own policy here, you know. What does your policy entail? How many days sick leave? How many days medical leave? You have paternity leave already inside this policy that you have to know here. Right? What classifications of employees do you have? These are the things that you need to know as an employer in order to really understand.
Yep.
Oh, what hijack your golden nugget. Sorry. Right.
No, you're expanding on it, and honestly, people need to understand that because people don't know. People think HR is not important. They spend money on marketing, they spend the money on the finance, all of that. HR is like
dollars, I get cash flow.
Yes, HR, wherever.
No. Are you supposed to be happy to work for me? I give them all their job, I make all they pay all their bills. No. Or they can end up paying much more than the bills they put in wrong court.
Exactly.
So you need to understand.
Yes, they do.
So, sorry for hijacking. Is there anything else you would like to add to our wonderful viewers tonight as regards to HR, small business ownership, COVID, anything?
Going back to what you said about people becoming entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship expanding in Trinidad and Tobago. Entrepreneurship is hard. It is difficult. There are a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of worries, a lot of stress, but it is worth it.
Yes, it is.
It is worth it. And if you do find yourself when you lose your job, it happens. Just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and move forward. And you never know what you like doing. There's a market for that. There's always a market for something.
For something. There is. And to add, to complement what you just said, I'm not retracting. I always use the example. What I consider was my main stream of income, my other business. Due to COVID, I had to close them completely. Get rid of all my employees, move out my office space, everything. And from that, the Conflict Guru 868 was born. And there is a market.
Yes.
Because we do want to be coached in conflict resolution and conflict management, right? People are actually willing to address those internal conflicts and work through it. And also relating the conflicts back to what is keeping you back from being an entrepreneur and starting your business. So there is a market, and if there's a market for that, come on. And that's why I say entrepreneurship is like motherhood. I will relate it to motherhood, being a mom, right? It's hard. Tough also mean hard, but I'm using tough. Something you need to pull your hair out, and I don't already have no hair. But it is rewarding. It is so rewarding because it's like when I see my little nuggets running around, it's like, oh gosh, well, it is stressful, but I love all. You know, this care my son put me through. Right?
Yes, I do.
You know, this care my son put me through a few weeks ago, but it is rewarding. And even with your business, sometimes with your business, you just feel like it's your baby because it's like, okay, how am I going to grow this thing? What does this thing need to grow? What does this thing need to survive? What am I going to do? How am I going to keep abreast of this thing? How am I going to keep current? What do people really want from me?
That last question, I ask that every day.
I'll be talking to my laptop so often, my computer, and it's the same thing I'm saying to my 2-year-old. What you want? What else you want? But that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yes.
Isn't rewarding. You work hard, you reap the rewards of your hard work, the dedication, and people, yes, there are failures, yes, there are hiccups, conflicts, issues, right? But that does not mean it's an end. You take these things, you look at it as a means of improving, and you go again. Okay. You go again, right? I mean, it's 14 years I have been struggling to be an entrepreneur, and I have failed a few times. I had quite a few successes. I started over, and you learn from it.
Yeah.
But you cannot continue doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That is madness. And that is what happens when it is you do not put HR procedures and policies in place and expect your employees to be motivated, productive, happy, no issues, no conflicts. Mm-hmm. People have needs and wants which must be met in the workplace, despite the size of your business. Like Ruslene said, once it is the employing somebody, you need to make sure these things are in place. And I think someone said, Lana said, imagine firing your brother without proper policy. You know how much fight that will end up with?
It could have, let me tell you, things have happened.
Yeah.
Things have happened. Yeah. I mean, we're laughing about it, but listen.
I know we laugh because we know what could happen.
I can tell you, I have been through it. So I know you need to protect yourself. At the end of the day,
yes,
you need to understand that everyone is for themselves. They have their needs that they would need fulfilled. So they are going to be driven by their needs. And anything that comes into conflict with them being able to provide for their needs is going to cause problems.
A problem. You said it. You succeeded phrase it there. You mind repeating that for me, please? That's because they say conflict too, but you mind repeating it? That's our viewers here.
But people need to make sure that they are covered. Everyone needs to make sure that they're covered. From the employee to the employer, you need to make sure that you are covered. Employees, learn the laws. Learn the employment laws. Employers, same thing. Learn the people laws.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, it might be a little rude, but
yeah.
Learn the laws.
I will give you my tip. What I did. What I did was I got one of those big folders, guys, and as I came across a law, I printed it. I put it in my folder. I put it in my folder. So maternity, whatever leave, workman's comp, if it is you have minimum wage, all these different things, occupational health and safety. You just put these things in your folder, you store it, and that is going to help you and guide you in your business. Now, roughly, we're going to have to wrap up. This has been the longest show I have done, and this is what my 6th episode or so. I'm taking a long count, right? We usually make around 30 minutes and then do a 10 minutes on IG. We are into 45 minutes now. So
we need a part 2.
So, on this high note, this high excited HR note, I'm going to end it tonight, guys. Ruslene, thank you so much for being such a wonderful, upbeat, kicksy guest. It was fun. Everyone, thank you for tuning in tonight. I will see you next week. Be safe out there. Take care. God bless.
Thank you.